Morning students, we are dealing with the same unit, that is unit 4, and the today's topic is systematic lupus erythematosus. This systematic lupus erythematosus is an autoimmune disorder. Autoimmune means automatically generated by the immune system. So in this condition, the body starts attacking its own organ, thinking is at a foreign material. Let's see the introduction. A multisystem inflammatory autoimmune connective tissue diseases that occur most commonly in women during this reproductive age. So it mostly occurs in the reproductive age and in women. Then let's see the definition. A systemic autoimmune disease with relapsing and remitting course that can affect almost any organ system in which organs and cells undergo damage mediated by tissue binding, autoantibodies and immune complexes. So this is the definition of systematic lupus erythematosus, in which it is telling that it is a systemic autoimmune disease. That means it is systemic in the body systems. It is generated by the body systems automatically, and in this which starts affecting the own body organs, and that you can say automatically auto-generated, and the antibody starts attacking its own immune system. Then let's see the risk factors. In the risk factors, the first one is gender. So you have already seen the definition that 90% you can see that women are the most affected gender, and in this 90% women in childbearing age. So reproductive age means childbearing age. Women are having the more chances of getting SLE. Then female sex is permissive for SLE because hormone effects. Why the women are women are having the more chance of getting SLE is hormone effects, genes on X chromosome. That is, women are having 2 X chromosomes. Then epigenetic difference between gender. So there is because of these all factors, the women are at great risk of getting SLE. Then next risk factors are age. So 15 to 44 years are the most commonly affected age. Then race and ethnicity, more common in urban areas than rural areas. Then highest prevalence is in black women and lowest is in white men. Then family history, a brother or sister of a patient with the disorder has 20 times the risk as someone without an immediate family member with SLE. So it's quite common if a parents are having. So it's there is more chances of child to get the same symptoms from their parents or the same from their brothers or sisters. And then next is environmental triggers. Then there are certain other environmental factors that can also cause SLE. These are sunlight, viruses, smoking, tobacco, chemicals and drinking alcohol. Then hormonal replacement therapy and oral contraceptives. So these are certain other risk factors which can cause SLE in the women. Then the clinical manifestations, what you are going to notice in the patients. So these are, in cardiac system you will be seeing endocarditis, myocarditis and pericarditis. That is, the 3 layers of the heart will be having infections. Then constitutional fatigue, you will be noticing fatigue, fever and weight loss. Then in gastrointestinal you will be having abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting. Then in skin, that is dermatological, you will be having alopecia, butterfly rash, mucous membrane lesion, photosensitivity, purpura, Raynaud's phenomena, urticaria, vasculitis. These symptoms you will be seeing in the skin. Then in hematological you will be seeing anemia, leukopenia, thrombocytopenia. Then in musculoskeletal you will be seeing arthralgia, arthritis, myositis. Then in pulmonary you will be seeing pleurisy, pulmonary hypertension, pulmonary parenchyma. Then you will be seeing in neuropsychiatric conditions cranial neuropathies, organ brain syndrome, peripheral neuropathies, psychosis, seizures, transverse myelitis. Then in renal, that is in kidney, you will be seeing CAS, hematuria, nephrotic syndrome, proteinuria. Then reticuloendothelial, you will be seeing hepatomegaly, lymphadenopathy and splenomegaly. So these are the quite symptoms you can notice in almost with the patients having SLE. Then clinical presentations varies in different patients, and the disease activity varies over time in a single patient. So it can also have slight variations as it progresses from person to person. Then diagnosis. In diagnosis, you'll be going for the history collection, then you will be doing physical examination. In physical examination, you'll be going for the signs and symptoms. So this is diagnosis based on the American College of Rheumatology criteria. So in this, they will be noticing the 4 signs and symptoms, more than 4 signs and symptoms. If the person has more than 4 signs and symptoms, so he is positive and he is having SLE. In that, you'll be seeing the malar rash, discoid rash, photosensitivity, oral ulcers, arthritis, then serositis, kidney disorder, neurological disorder, blood disorder, immunologic disorder, and abnormal anti-nuclear antibody. So I have already told you what are the signs and symptoms you are going to notice. If any person is having more than any 4 symptoms out of that, so the person is positive to SLE. Then except that, you can go for the biopsy. Then you can go for this is based on the diagnosis based on Systemic Lupus International Collaborative Clinics SLICC classification criteria. So the symptoms should be more than at least 1 clinical and 1 immunological criteria. Then biopsy proven lupus nephritis with positive anti-nuclear antibody. Then anti-double stranded DNA should be there. Then symptoms finding need to be present at all the same time. These are the diagnostic procedures you are going to carry out. In this, the most important is that you are going to find the signs and symptoms in the patient. Then for treatment, mainly it is based on the medical treatment, that is you will be having drugs therapy to the patient. In that, there are mainly 4 therapies you are going to give, that is corticosteroid, immunosuppressants, NSAIDs, sunscreen. Corticosteroid is to reduce inflammation, then immunosuppressants is to stop the autoimmune disorders, then NSAIDs is to reduce the pain, then sunscreen is to protect the skin from UV radiations. So in corticosteroids, there are 3 types mainly: oral corticosteroids, topical corticosteroids, and parenteral corticosteroids. So in oral corticosteroids, you can mainly see patients with mild SLE do not normally require use of synthetic corticosteroids, but there are patients who are low quality of life if not given low dose corticosteroids. Lowest possible dose should be used for the maintenance therapy. So there are persons who are at high risk, so for them we will go for the low corticosteroids. Then topical corticosteroids are to apply on the skin. So person with skin disorders can be given topical corticosteroids. Then certain patients can also go for IV therapy, that is parenteral corticosteroids. Then the next one is hydroxychloroquine, used for skin and joint manifestations. So the patients with skin and joint manifestations can go for hydroxychloroquine, also used for preventing flares and other constitutional symptoms. Then the next one is immunosuppressants to deactivate the autoimmune symptoms of the patient. These agents act as immunosuppressants, cytotoxic and anti-inflammatory agents. These are azithromycin, belimumab, then cyclophosphamide, IV immune globulin, then methotrexate. And the next is NSAIDs. These drugs provide symptomatic relief of fever, arthritis, and mild serositis, inhibit inflammatory reactions and pain by decreasing prostaglandin synthesis. And sunscreen is used to protect the skin from the sun. So that's all for the today's class. We have seen the definitions, risk factors, clinical manifestations, diagnostic and management. Thank you to all the students.